let's get set up here. As usual, we got to get a little bit more white on the palette, because that's always the first color we're running out of. I think I'm doing pretty good on my other colors right now. I'm probably going to need some Prussian blue. We've been using a lot of Prussian blue, and we've been using a lot of sap green. Maybe we should just go ahead and throw a little dab of those on. Actually, there's a couple more colors that we've been really getting a lot of use of. There's sap green, there's the cadmium yellow deep, and then there's Prussian blue. Alright. And those are kind of just, along with what we're already using, everything that's making up the blanket that we've been painting. We're almost done. Well, I don't know if I'd say done, but we're getting close to having our proportions right on the bottom row of the grid. So things are looking pretty good. Our proportions are looking way better than they were. God, if you look back at some of the earlier videos here, those proportions were pretty rough around the edges. They weren't great. I wish I would have done some of that differently in hindsight, but you know, hindsight is always 20/20. Like I say, you don't get better at things by not doing them, so you can't punish yourself too hard for applying yourself and trying. Be kind to yourself, I guess, is the lesson of today, or at least one of the takeaways. It's the takeaway right now. I think these 6 colors will do us. Let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Luckily, I already drew a little guideline over here, so I have a pretty good idea where some of these folds are going to go. God, this is a little surreal to be at this point where we're going to be painting, you know, this very last square right here of this particular row. I shouldn't be surprised by that, but well, whenever you make progress in a painting, it feels like kind of a big deal. So, if you know an artist in your life and they happen to celebrate just the little things like, hey, I got this done, and you look at them and go, and? Well, it's because painting it was really, really hard. There's a reason they're celebrating. Okay, this color actually is not too bad for what I want right now, I think. I think we'll add a little bit more white, just a touch of white on what I whipped up here. And we'll be in business for the next piece to come. You know what, just a little touch of alizarin crimson on this. A little touch. Not too green. Not too red. Just a little touch. Let's see what that looks like. It's not too bad. Okay. It's actually pretty good. I think I want to try and get just a little bit more of that color over in here. Things might be a little too violet on this slice of things. Okay. And you know, in your own painting, guys, you mustn't be afraid to go ahead and try some things, make some mistakes. Just see what happens sometimes when you're painting, because sometimes you surprise yourself. That's the real takeaway there. Try things out, see what happens. It's okay to fail. It's scary to fail, but it's okay to do it. Okay. Just getting a little something over in here too, because we hadn't done all that much over in this end. Because the shadow color we whipped up is pretty nice. Okay. Alright, let's focus on this part over here. Let's insert a few things, because really the focus right now should probably be on this part. But, you know, it's like I say, painting is kind of an all-over type of activity. You can't just focus on one thing and ignore everything else. You have to consider the entire picture. It's a holistic activity, I guess is what you call it. I don't use that word too often, but God, it feels like the right word to use right now. And it's one of those days where, hey, we're busting out some unexpected vocabulary. We do that sometimes. Who knows? Maybe you even have to look something up on dictionary.com. That reminds me, I saw some video earlier today of this guy who was talking about an English test over in Japan where they had all kinds of words on it that he didn't know. And the words were certain things like extol and boon and words that are not that complicated. And I was a little bit, I guess, gobsmacked that he just didn't know these words. I think that it might have been bait. I really hope it was bait. I hope that it was just one of those Poe's Law situations where guy is so convincing that you can't tell if he's making it up or not. God, I really hope he was making it up because those are not complicated words. If he wasn't making it up, oh boy, he might want to take him a remedial class. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. Getting a little bit more Prussian blue for what we want to do on this next part. I think I'm not going to use my mud color for this because I need the color to be a little bit darker. I need it to be a little bit darker with some alizarin in there. And then I need a little bit of the cadmium yellow. We're not busting out the cadmium yellow deep yet. No, not yet. Okay, let's see how this looks, which is not bad. Not bad. This is going to be kind of a violet-ish hue, I think. Let's add a little bit just of that white on there. Oh, I hope I don't regret adding the white. I don't think I will because this color that we're using is particularly strong. Yeah. Sometimes you gotta add a little bit of white to a dark color, especially a violet, because violets tend to be a little bit, I guess the word is, sneaky in the way they're colored. Sneaky. That's a good way of putting it. Sneaky. Because they'll surprise you sometimes when you add some white and find out what's really, really underneath there. Sometimes they're a little too blue, sometimes they're a little too red, sometimes maybe even a little too brown. I don't know. But point being, yeah, sometimes they're not what you expect. This though, now that we added that white, we kind of have an idea of what to expect from this. It's a pretty greenish color, isn't it? I feel like I said that last time. Prussian blue always has a way of getting a little greenish. Prussian blue. You're just one of those colors, aren't you? You really are. I try to make you do one thing and then you go and do another. I tell you guys, each of these colors has a personality of their own. They want to do certain things. They just want to be a certain way. They want to do them. Which, respect, but I got a painting I got to do here. Here, let's concentrate on maybe a little bit of the curve right here. I think it's going to go like right around this way and then cease right about here. Looks like I kind of got the curve a little bit in a previous session. I don't remember when, but it looks like I did something. Well, I'm going to just take a moment here and shout out Past Me for not screwing things up too bad. Really did a bang up job, Past SK. Thanks for getting that color. Thanks for letting me know where I had to go. And that's what I try to tell everyone. You know, past you has to think ahead, or because future you is going to be grateful for it. And if past you doesn't think ahead, boy, future you is going to have a rough time of it. This might be too dark of a color. I don't know, guys. If it's too dark of a color, we can always like monkey around with it later, but yeah, we might want to monkey around with it a little bit later, but heck, it still looks kind of okay, you know? Doesn't look too shabby. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's alright. Debating how much I want to like bring down this color right here. Actually, the shadow kind of goes down pretty far, so I guess we could just extend it yay length down to about halfway or so. Something like that. Yeah, down about in there. Alright. Okay. That Prussian blue is really doing a lot of heavy lifting right now. Let's take a brief aside here and get some ultramarine ready. Because, you know, where Prussian blue is, ultramarine sometimes has to rear its head to and invite itself in. You just can't have blue without ultramarine in the mix someplace. Ultramarine is just that color you can never really get away from, and honestly, why would you want to? It is just so... it's a lot of different things. It's cheap. It's very strong enough. Mixes well with everything. It's very chromatic. It complements the Prussian blue very nicely in paintings, and it works pretty well with it. I don't really have anything bad to say about either color. Now, I don't know that I necessarily have all that many nice things to say about cobalt blue. It's expensive, I'll say that. And it doesn't really do anything that ultramarine can't do, other than, well, cobalt blue is very, very light fast. It'll never go anywhere. And ultramarine is sensitive to moisture and acidity and everything. So if you sprinkle a little bit of lemon juice or something on a painting, it might affect the ultramarine. But I don't know. How often are you really sprinkling lemon juice on your paintings? I guess if you have a big glass of lemonade and you just throw it at a painting, yeah, you might have some problems. I don't know. Just imagine that happening. Someone tossing a glass of lemonade at a painting. Well, there's those guys that do those protests. I don't even know if they still do that. You guys remember those protests from a while back where these people were dumping a bunch of paint or sludge or whatever it was, but they were doing graffiti on actual artworks and everything because they were talking about climate change, and all it was doing was just making everyone angry because they were ruining works of art. Now, I know the works of art got to be restored and everything, but in the end I'm not sure the message really got through. Because in the end I think everyone was just mad. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, well. I guess that's the thing about activism. Sometimes your message doesn't always get through if you're not real clear about it. Dump a bowl of soup on a painting. Yeah, it's going to upset some people, but I'm not sure they're going to be too concerned about what you're saying while you're doing it. Throw a custard pie at a Picasso, and all people are going to talk about is that you messed up a pretty decent work of art. They're not going to talk about what? Climate change or anything like that. Nah. Okay, I think what we're going to do is we're going to try and focus a little bit on some lighter tones here coming up. So I'll add some white to my ultramarine. I want to see if this color works. It might be a little light for what I want to do. Because right in this little section right here, is going to be very, very shadowy. Very, very shadowy. So let's check it out, guys. Are we somewhere in the ballpark? I don't know. We got a decent violet blue going right there, but I think I need more of the Prussian blue tone. But at least we have that color ready if we want it. But I definitely need more of the Prussian blue side of things right now, because our blue has to be somewhere around the ballpark as some of the other stuff that we've been doing around here. So it's going to be decidedly more of a middle blue, or a greenish blue. This color is endlessly fascinating. Let's try to keep this relatively pure, I think. Tell you what I'll do. I'm just going to go ahead and put a few pieces of Prussian blue in here all by itself, because the color is just so pretty. Yeah. Yeah, down here it's going to be a lot more violet, I think. And over in here, there's going to be a little slice of just the same white cloth. It's not going to be white, but the same cloth that the figure's been lying on this whole time. Let's take some of the Prussian and mix it in with our ultramarine. And then I think we'll have a color that's a little bit more our speed. I think we've just about got something that we can work with here. Okay. Add a touch of white to it. Let's see how this looks, guys. I got a good feeling about this color. I think it's going to work wonders. I think. Okay, there it goes. So yeah, that's a little bit more of a kind of a middle-ish blue. Yeah, that's working pretty decent, guys. All right. God, some of these little sections make me nervous sometimes, because I'll be trying to come up with the right color, and meanwhile I'm not sure if it's going to work or not. And I guess that's part of the thrill of painting, is you're never really sure if it's going to work or not, but you got to try anyway. Yeah, you got to try anyway sometimes. Alright. I'm going to add a little bit of alizarin to my mix over here, and a little bit of white. See how things look after we do that. Let's search for kind of a shadowy blue color here. Let's see what we can mix up. I don't know what the color's going to look like quite yet, but I know that we need white on it. Blue is just such a dark value color, guys. Blue can be very hard to work with. It is the darkest color on the value scale. Blue is. Okay. I'm going to take some of the ultramarine and Prussian mix and get it in there. Maybe we'll have something that's just about the right tone we're looking for. Let's see what that looks like up in there. Maybe just a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, I think it might be about right. This might be about the color. Let's put it in, guys. You're always searching for the right color while you're painting. I'm always looking, always trying to find it. And sometimes I find it. Other times it just kind of sneaks up on me. Yeah. That about sums it up. Sometimes it just comes in the strangest places. Okay. What we're trying to do now is just kind of, I guess we're just kind of blending some things in, seeing what it looks like when we do. And hopefully it doesn't look too shabby. No, actually this doesn't look too bad, guys. There's some interesting things happening here. And we're not done yet. Looking for a slightly... I think I'm looking for more of an ultramarine, a pure ultramarine color here, because the one I'm mixing up right now has just got too much green in it because of the Prussian. So that's alright. That's alright. We'll just scrape off the knife, wipe it off, and get a little bit of the ultramarine back into things. And that'll skew things back toward the way we want, I do believe. Yeah, that didn't take very long. Yeah, right down there is where we're going to have a few things gone. Sometimes when you paint with ultramarine, it just feels like you're actually painting with jewels. Like you look at the color and you think to yourself, God, it's undeniably a beautiful color, and you don't know, when you think about it, you don't know how people work without it. I guess some people might. Most people have this in their toolbox, though. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do, you probably have some ultramarine on hand, someplace or another. It's just one of those colors that is inescapable. And why would you want to get away from it? Because, God, every time you use it, it just seems like it makes the painting better and better. I don't think any painting's gotten worse for having a little bit more ultramarine in it. No, not really. Alright, let's, you know what? I'm just going to put this in right about in there. Okay, that's looking alright. That's looking alright. Yeah, it's not looking bad at all. Some of these are things that are happening right now are pretty interesting. Alright, let's, I know what I'm going to do now. This is going to be a little bit scary, but I think we kind of have to do it. Let's take this and I'll just slip a little bit more of that ultramarine right there. Right there. Get maybe more of the blue color right in here. That middle blue color. Okay. Yeah. Alright. Enough fooling around. I say like we haven't been doing anything here, right? We'll take some of the sap green and some of cadmium yellow deep, and we're just going to mix those two together. And with those two, we're going to get kind of a very, depending on the ratio, we're going to get a very muted yellow. Okay, a very muted yellow that's going to be very interesting looking. It's going to be kind of greenish looking. I guess on some level you could call it an olive green, but I don't know. It's very, very brown. We'll see it in a second. This is about the color we're talking about. I guess when you look at it in the light, maybe it's a little bit greenish. I'll add just a touch more of the cadmium yellow to make sure that, or the cadmium yellow deep, excuse me. I think the thing of it is that the cadmium yellow deep, I told you guys this before, it's a little bit more of an orange than it is a yellow, because it's made with a cadmium red pigment. So that kind of causes things to go a little bit haywire, I guess. But also, it creates very interesting mixes with things. And I think we've got the lively color that we're looking for, guys. Let's go ahead and toss this in and see where it takes us. So right off, I'm just going to put a little something right here, because this is going to be undeniably pretty. It's going to go to right about there. And then we'll start just putting a few things in here and there. Right about there. Another one right about here. Okay. You hear the birds chirping outside. You can tell that we're at this very early in the morning or very late in the day, depending on your point of view. Okay, just a little bit more of that, guys. Right over in. Okay. Maybe we'll throw one right in there. Now, because of this, I think we're going to have just maybe a little bit more parity now with one side versus another. We'll add just a little bit of that up here too. Same thing. Because it's going to look a little bit different, I think, in one area versus another. Plus, it just makes our painting more interesting overall. Also, we got to add a little something up here, don't we? Yeah, we might want to do a little something there. Might even want to add a little sap green color occasionally. Just a little highlight, nothing too serious. Okay. Alright. This work is kind of abstract when we get down to it, but it does all come together eventually. And it does look like something eventually. That's my first thought too. Boy, I don't know. Does this look like anything? And of course, you look at it and from far away, and it does start to look like something. You gotta keep in mind that when you're painting, you're just largely arranging abstract shapes into something cohesive. So you gotta be able to look at the painting overall and adjust it as you go. Because if you try to think too hard about the way things ought to be, it gets harder and harder to think of things as they should be. Okay. We're looking good, guys. I think adding that extra tone of, or the extra tint of that yellow color that we just put in was a good idea. It does look kind of yellowish in context, doesn't it? Look like kind of but like I say, a yellow ochre. You can you can definitely mix a yellow with a green color and an orange color. But like I say, it's not going to be very bright. That's true of just about any color, really. If you had a proper, very bright colored green pigment, and this is the key difference, if it were a single pigment color, you would be able to mix a pretty decent yellow if you had a properly bright yellow-green pigment and then a properly bright yellow-orange. Or I guess orange-yellow, but same difference. So maybe one of these days they'll have a really lemony yellow and then a really, really... Well, there's already plenty of very orange yellows out there, or very yellowish oranges, but if they have something like a very, very, very bright greenish yellow pigment, and not a convenience mix, because convenience mixes are already a thing. We don't need to really consider those. We're talking about something that's just made with a single color, like my cadmium yellow deep is made with a single pigment in the paint. Now, if you get a bright yellow-green color, odds are it's made with a phthalo green and some other yellow, like some kind of aerolite yellow, probably. That's usually how it goes. Or, it could be made with yet another yellow color. There's no rhyme or reason sometimes to paints like that. But the point being is that it's going to be a mix. It's not going to be just one color. So, it helps to know that when you're buying paints and when you're selecting colors and all that business. Here, I think that this color would have been better suited up here. It's not a bad color even, it's just one that I don't think really needed to be down here. I don't like it that well down here. I kind of wish I hadn't used it right now. Yeah, well. Here, let's add just a touch of yellow to that sap green and get ourselves a little color. And the sap green is very powerful, so it's already just kind of overwhelming us. But I think we have something on our hands here that we could use. Yeah. Just a touch of yellow on that. Liven things up. Make it kind of a lemony green color down here. And we'll just stick this in right there. It's not going to be a very exciting color. It's just going to get the job done. And it's really going to just, you know what? Feeling seized by inspiration right now. Let's take some of our mud color and just kind of chuck it down in there. As sort of a shadowy type of deal. There, you see that? Oh, that actually looks pretty nice, guys. Yeah, that works great. Hey, that's why we have our mud color nearby. Wonder what else we could do with our mud color. I don't know. I haven't really tried painting with it too much, but let's see if we can, I don't know, just find a place for it. Like maybe right here. That might be a little too green, but it is quite green. Here, let's try a little something down in here. I'm going to throw this right there, guys. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting, guys. Hello. What are we whipping up today? I don't know, guys. We're whipping something up. We're getting a little crazy with everything. That's okay. Sometimes you just gotta be bold and daring, guys. Try things out. Sometimes you find some interesting stuff. Okay. That's about as far as the mud color is going to get us all by itself. Oh, man. That's kind of exciting. Oh, man. That was good. Alright, I'm going to put a little bit of my alizarin crimson into the mix of the blues that we had going earlier. I think we're going to use a little bit more of the ultramarine on that. I just want a hint of alizarin crimson in there. And then quite a bit of white. Maybe. Okay. Let me clean off my knife because I need to do something a little. Need to get a little bit more something on this. Okay. Now we got more of a color that we're looking for. Right there. A lot of white on that. It's a lot of white. Yep, that's the color we're looking for, guys. Right there. It really narrows things down. There. We ain't done yet. Better. Yeah, that's a lot better. Feeling pretty good about everything that we're doing here. Maybe let's just get a little bit more of an ultramarine bent on this. So the alizarin crimson I'm using on this painting is not like a real alizarin crimson. It's more of a quinacridone color. And the reason for that is that the company that gave me the paint, back when they were still doing their thing, made their color with a perylene maroon and a couple of quinacridones in the mix. What they were doing was they were creating a whole line of light fastness 1 colors. And to get around the whole alizarin crimson thing, because they knew that everyone wants alizarin crimson, every painter wants alizarin crimson, they made alizarin crimson, but they did it with quinacridone. And so that's what I'm using. So before there's someone that tells me that alizarin crimson is not all that permanent, well, it's not that big of a deal in oils, honestly. You can get away with it. It's fine. I mean, there's people that use impermanent colors all the time, so what's the big deal? Nah. In oil painting, I think alizarin crimson is considered acceptably light fast, which is about the bottom of the barrel for acceptable light fastness, but still, it's acceptable. It's not really a big deal. Here, I'm going to just do that a little bit. It's alright. Enjoying what I'm doing here, guys. Yeah, we got that a little too dark. I think maybe we need a little bit more of that. I think I might want to just toss a little bit more of the Prussian blue mix in there. I don't know. Feels like it sometimes, you know? What's that all look like? Yeah, it's alright. Okay. Scraping some of the excess off on my brush here because it's getting a little bit, God, it's getting to be a little bit much. Really been exercising some of these colors that we chose. That's half the battle right there. So if that's what we're doing, I'd say we're in a good spot. Okay. Let's throw a little bit of ultramarine up in here too. I mean, we should probably get a little bit of it in there. Just a little bit. Make things a little more interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Bring it up in here too. Okay. Whew. This is fine. This is fine. Alright, I think let's just, I don't know. Try something out over in here. Yeah, this will work, guys. This will work. And just maybe one more little knot over here. that was a pretty decent session, I think. We did a lot of abstract work in that one section where not really any figurative things going on. At least it felt like an abstract painting, didn't it? Which, nothing wrong with that. I mean, I like a little bit of abstraction from time to time, and, well, when you look at a painting, or when you look at shapes, it helps to think of them in abstract terms, so that you can just get everything arranged, because everything is kind of abstract when you look at it a certain way. The shape of a face is kind of abstract. The shape of everything, really. I mean, I could go through a laundry list of things, but really everything in existence has its own kind of shape to it. And if you focus on capturing that shape, if you focus on the relationship of shapes to one another, you can capture all their attributes down to value, line, all the elements and principles, especially color, though. Color and value. Color and value are so, so important. They're the most important things you could possibly focus on, because they're two of the first things that your audience is going to see. But you really have to focus first on composition. Composition is king, and good composition can save a lot of shortcomings on a painting. But if you get everything else right and your composition's bad, there's nothing you could really do to fix that. You kind of just have to do a whole new composition. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of paintings where the composition is just so bad. They're so focused, some of these artists I see, on their materials. They're focused on getting the right color. They're focused on literally everything except the one thing that matters, the composition. And it's heartbreaking to see, because otherwise they'd probably be doing a pretty good job. They're focusing so much on detail that they're losing sight of the big picture. The picture, the composition. Alright, check out our mud for today, guys. That's a pretty green mud. That's where all that Prussian blue and sap green are coming in. Should give you an idea of just how much of it we were using. I think that going forward we'll probably start to use a little less, though next time we are going to focus on the blanket a little bit more, but then we're going to be moving steadily into more and more flesh stuff, but next time it's still going to be a lot of blanket. Alright guys, I'll see you next time.